Welcome to Subscription Prescription, the podcast where you get the information you need to scale your subscription program. Hello and welcome to another dose of Subscription Prescription. I'm your host, Matthew Holman. I'm excited to be joined today by Jenny Finke, the founder of Love Me Gluten-Free. Jenny, thanks for coming on the pod.
Thanks for having me. So nice to meet you.
You as well. I'm glad you could come on. We weren't able to connect directly at Sub Summit, but we were both at Sub Summit recently and reached out afterwards to say, hey, come on the podcast. My business partner actually is gluten-free. I've got a lot of people in my family that are gluten-free, so it's a problem that I'm very, very familiar with. Interested in his birthday just passed, so we'll see if he's listening to this episode or not, but he might be getting that for his birthday next year. But I would love for you to tell me and all of our listeners about you and your journey to starting Love Me Gluten-Free.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, and we'll hook you up with a box for your friend, but your business partner. But yeah, I've been in the gluten-free industry for a long time. It started about 13 years ago when I was having all sorts of really painful bloating and gas and like these symptoms, the very classical kind of digestion symptoms. Went to my doctor, told her what was going on. She's like, "That doesn't sound right. Let's run a few tests." Didn't even think what she was going to do. Like, I didn't even say, "What tests are you running on me?" She just ran some tests. And, a few days later, she called me and said, "You have celiac disease." You're kind of like, "What's that?" And she said, "You can't eat bread. You can't eat pizza. You can't eat pasta." And it was all about all these things I couldn't eat all of a sudden. And she said, "This is not my expertise. You're going to need to go get some nutrition help, dietary help to, help fix your broken digestive system." And that sort of set me on this journey of figuring out how to eat in a way that was good for me and that healed my body. I even went back to school and got an integrative nutrition certification. I read so many books by a lot of integrative nutrition doctors and just learned so much about what was going on in my body. And simultaneously, I had started a blog. It was called Good For You, Gluten-Free. And I was sharing, recipes that I was trying. I was sharing information about foods I was eating, how I was eating at different restaurants, and products I was finding. So I was just sharing this information, and over time had built a community of gluten-free eaters, like thousands of people in my community, both through my newsletter and through social media. And, things were going pretty amazing with the blog, but I'm skipping over a lot. It feels like a little bit of a long story.
No, it's fantastic. Well, I just love hearing how you were obviously become very solution oriented for yourself, sharing some of that stuff with people. Were you like a writer or blogger before? Like what? Because that's not always a choice that everybody makes.
Yeah. So I started, actually I had a degree in journalism for what it's worth. I mean, it was a long time ago, but I ended up working in marketing and PR. So I had a lot of marketing experience, and I was doing marketing. At that time, I had more of my own agency, and I was working more freelance for various clients. And even at the time with the whole celiac thing happening to me, I was actually doing PR for, ironically enough, Dunkin' Donuts when they were opening all of their stores in Denver. I was helping them open their stores and get local publicity for it. So I had a lot of marketing background, but truly, like when you are diagnosed with such a life-changing disorder, like it really turns your life upside down. You have to think about, I think about food all the time. I mean, I think about food right now. So, it became all consuming to me. And that's when I said, I think I'm going to kind of shift careers, but at the same point, it's still marketing. And what I was doing is growing this blog. I was learning, how to build a newsletter community, how to do some SEO. I was learning all this marketing stuff, and I was getting millions of people, millions of page views on my blog each year. And so it was really nice. And I was earning a nice little passive income from that. I had programmatic ads. I don't know if I'm saying that right, from Mediavine. They would put these ads on my website. I didn't even think about it. And, anytime someone would scroll through one of my articles, there'd be some ads in it. And that would be how I'd make money on my blog. And then in about October 2023, I think you'll appreciate this, Google changed their algorithm. Actually, they probably changed more of their whole business model to prioritize AI. So now if you were to Google, what's gluten-free at the Olive Garden, you're not going to find the Olive Garden. You're not going to find my website. You're going to find an AI summary.
Right.
And you're never
Right.
going to click on a website again. So my blog was actually at that time dying while I was sort of coming up with this new business idea.
Mm-hmm. And so what prompted the box idea then?
Yeah. So the box came out of, well, obviously know this community, this gluten-free community really well. And I know what our challenges are. I experience those challenges, but I hear from my community every day, what are our challenges of eating gluten-free? And there's a lot of them, but one of them is really finding products. And we think it's easier. You might go to your grocery store and like, I see gluten-free products all the time. But we, as a gluten-free community, we are getting marketed by a lot of these companies. We're seeing that they're coming out with new products and we're not finding those in our grocery store. Maybe we're finding one of those products or
Right.
some of those brands, but it's really hard to find these products in grocery stores. And when you know how grocery marketing works, it's very hard for these small brands to get shelf space, to get national
Right.
distribution, but yet they're making great products. And so I came up with this way to bring them both together so that my community could find the products and the brands that I knew and loved and that were pitching me because they wanted me to feature them on Instagram or whatever. I could bring them together and say, hey, instead of just me talking about how amazing your bread is, what if I give it to 1,000 of my besties as well? And we'll
Right.
all get a chance to be an influencer and sample them. And there was a little more inspiration behind that story too. But that's the gist of just like, there's this real need in our community to bring brands and these great products with the people who need them. Like we really do need them. It is a need. I mean, obviously I don't need cookies, but like you can go to the store and buy any cookie
Right.
you want. I can't.
Right. Right. And so that's interesting. So it's almost like you're running a product discovery box for
Exactly.
people that are okay, interesting. And so you're not necessarily looking to source something that's already really common or maybe widespread available. You're actually looking for newer products that are coming out different. That that that's really interesting. I can see how rewarding that would be for both sides of the equation. And I will make one comment. I do feel like our grocery industry, like they put gluten free on everything, even things that we all know don't have gluten in them, because I feel like they're trying to market to an audience that. But when you are actually gluten free, it's actually really hard to find products. Like I already know that pickles were gluten free. Thank you, like Kroger. Like I
Yeah.
need that information, right? But get me bread or snacks or crackers that are going to taste good, that are actually gluten free and safe. So that
Exactly.
makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, how was that for you? Like getting into that, deciding like you're going to start doing a box. What were some of the things that you found to be like really really easy early on, and then I'm going to ask some of the things that were really hard.
Yeah. Easy. Oh my goodness. Well, at first, the first thing I should say, it was actually easy to start this in the sense that I had a community. I had a lot of people in my community that I knew wanted and needed this, and also who trusted things that I was sharing with them and that
Mhm.
they were safe and good. And so the easy part really was getting the customers. And I'll tell you just a little backstory too. So, around that time in October when my blog was kind of tanking, I was sort of thinking, I need to do something new. I don't know what my next thing's going to be. But at that same time, I was approached by a subscription box that made organic snacks. And they had a new CEO or new owner who took over, and they had a gluten-free option. Like you could get the organic snacks. And if you clicked the button, you could say, I just want gluten-free things in my
Mhm.
organic box. And so the new CEO reached out to me and asked me if I'd be willing to share it with my community as an affiliate. And so I said, sure. I'm like kind of looking for something new in life. And so I shared her box as an affiliate. Like I was able to check it out. It looked fine. I even remember writing to my community saying, like, it's kind of cool that there's a subscription box that has a gluten-free option. I will tell you, it doesn't have like a lot of the brands that I know and love, just had things that happen to be gluten-free in them. It wasn't, you
Mhm.
could tell it wasn't sourced by someone who was gluten-free. So I gave that
Right.
caveat to my community. And I don't know, this was kind of wild. A ton of people bought it. I mean, a ton of people bought it from my affiliate link. And fast forward, 30 days when people got that first box, there was gluten in it. My
Oh,
inbox blew up before
oh
I could
my
even
goodness.
open my box to see that there was a piece of a gluten-free ramen in there. My inbox had blown up, and my community, they were not mad at me, but they were like, we thought you should know what you recommended, Jenny.
Mhm.
And so, fast forward, well, actually, I should say really quick too, the before I even opened my box, that CEO had reached out to me because her inbox blew up too. And she said, I think it was mostly people from your community, and I made a mistake, I messed up. So she issued a apology, and I published it in my newsletter. Forgot about it a little bit, was like kind of like upset a little bit about it, but whatever, we all make mistakes. It's okay. We move
Right.
forward. Fast forward 30 days, there was a gluten cookie in the next box. And some people had bought the 3-month or longer subscription. And, again, my inbox got, yeah, got quite a few emails on that one too. And I said to my husband, I said, I can do this. My community wants this. I knew there were customers
Mhm.
there. And that's why that was the easy part. I knew the customers wanted this from that whole debacle, and I knew I could do it better.
And done well, right? As you said, done better, like you would be able to do it well. That's so interesting. I guess from like outside, we often do all these business case studies and understand like try to understand entrepreneur journeys, and it just sounds like the universe kept shoving you into you're going to be starting a gluten-free subscription box because you need to help people out. It's, so that's really interesting. So, what were some of the things as you got into the subscription box business that you found as like a surprise, both either good or bad, or again some of the things that you found to be really really difficult?
Yeah. Well, I think at first I thought it was going to be easy to source products because I knew a lot of the brands and I could get, they would love to be in my box. Like I
Mhm.
worked with them and now I'm giving them this opportunity to not just work with me, but to really get into the mouths of these people in our community that need their products. And so I think at first sourcing was okay, but it got more and more challenging as we grew and scaled. So just getting someone to provide, thousands of loaves of bread that are fresh that we're going to deliver, and work everything out on time and get those products in my boxes and out the door. The challenges of just operating this have been so high, and we had such fast growth. I started with 150 boxes. We're doing them in my basement. Then I remember the second month I said, okay, well, add 100 more because I should mention that those 150 sold out in like less than 2 hours. I just mentioned them
Mhm.
to my newsletter community. And then in May, I added 100 more. And I remember I wanted to put this gluten-free flour mix, it was like a sweet dough mix in my box. And so I ordered 250 of them, and each bag was like a little over 2 pounds. So here we
Oh, wow.
had like 500 pounds of flour rolling up to my house. And and then they left the pallet on my driveway, and I'm like saying to my husband, "Hey, let's carry 500 pounds of flour to our basement that we're gonna eventually carry back up."
Carry back.
So there were all these little challenges like that. Then we moved into a warehouse, and then at some point, like after we crossed 1,200 boxes, I was like in tears. I'm like, "I can't physically do this." And my poor parents dragging them out of retirement, and everyone was helping us pack and unload. Unloading was huge too, all these boxes. And so then we got in a fulfillment center. And now, we have challenges with the fulfillment center too. Like we're still working out details and like, making sure our customer service stays really well, and good.
Right.
But yeah, there's the growing pains. I guess that's a short answer to that question.
No, absolutely. I think the work it takes to fulfill those, like I've helped out with some very small versions of that project but so I've been in the trenches, but not the month after month after month. So I certainly can appreciate how much work that is. I'm curious. So for you, have you found that like what has it been like with the community element? Because I know everybody talks about the power of community. You should have a community, right? And we were talking offline about you've worked with Sarah Williams and Launch Your Box, and that as
Yeah.
you mentioned, she talks about that a ton. She built a subscription box, built a community around boxes. How has it been for you with the community? Is it like you get immediate feedback on things that everybody likes, everybody hates? Is it um, you've mentioned it's been fairly simple to sell out like regularly? Has the community, I guess I'm asking like a million questions here. And I'm also curious if is the community continue to grow? Like, how are you managing both sides of the business too? So let me be a good interview and say, what has it been like working with the community? And I'll be a little
Yeah.
more specific instead of giving you 5 questions at once.
No, it's fine. I mean, community building is everything. You want to build a community and you want to service that community. And that is like where my heart has always been. Like, how can I create recipes that my community needs? How can I create information that my community needs? And so this box was just another one of those things. Like, all of a sudden, I had this moment like, my community needs this. And I also started to realize that the brands in our community needed this too. Like, they wanted to be
Right.
discovered as well. And so community really is everything. And I, I feel like I'm really accessible to the community. Like, I am, creating content for Instagram about just me at a restaurant, why I ordered something the way I ordered something, and sharing that real life stuff that I'm going through every day. Like, just when you're diagnosed with celiac, there's no pill, there's nothing that goes away. It's like
Right.
a lifelong journey for us. And so I just try to share that relatable information. I do share a weekly newsletter through Good For You Gluten-Free through my blog. And I share, the news of the week, what new studies have come out, what's a
Interesting.
new issue or topic the community is worried about, oats, what's going on with oats? Like, there's always an oat drama. So
Mhm.
I try to stay on top of that and just stay in touch with my community. And I also think that I feel like I was almost meant to be the one to fill this box because I I feel like I am. Like, I'm creating a box that I would want to receive with the products that I would want, and my community knows that. Like,
Mhm.
these are brands that they're going to open this box and they're going to know someone with celiac disease curated this box. Like, whoever curated this box understands what I'm looking for and how, the labels I'm looking for, the brands that I'm looking for, the kind of products that I miss the most are in
Mhm.
this box. And so that's why I think just being a part of the community myself has really given me this really interesting place in it to be able to create these boxes for them.
I love that. I love that. And I know that it's hard to keep putting out quality content, and
Yes.
keep trying to develop and offer that kind of value to the community while you're also trying to build and operate a subscription box business. It's a lot of work.
Yes, I like to lovingly say that I'm on a hamster wheel and, I close out a box, but that doesn't mean I'm not working on like 4 other boxes in the
Right.
future. And, you post something on Instagram, that doesn't mean you don't have, it doesn't mean you're done because tomorrow you need another post for Instagram. So you
Right.
really are a little bit on the hamster wheel. And um, primarily it's been me and my husband. My husband has even toned down his hours. He's a consultant, so he's been trying to work more with me and in the business because I've needed more and more help, and he's more operational minded, and I'm more like, I just want to make cute boxes and content. And so he's really been helpful. And then, like, I did hire on someone to help me just with the social media and affiliates and influencer kind of stuff. So I do have someone helping me there. And I'm looking to hire like an assistant and really hire out a strategic team as well. And we just brought on like a strategic advisor to help us.
Oh,
And
good.
like, I think that we need some additional help and stuff because you're right. Like, there's so much to do. You're never done. Like, the hamster wheel keeps spinning.
And then you're also at the point now where feels like there's opportunity in so many different directions. What do you pick? What
Yeah.
do you focus on? Right. Like, what do you, so I'm curious, like, what is next for Love Me Gluten-Free? What are some of the things you're thinking about doing or where you're going with the business?
Yeah. Well, first, I'd really love to figure out how to scale a little bit more. I think that is my biggest challenge, as I mentioned. Figuring out how to make this opportunity even more valuable to brands so that, instead of me, trying to, get brands into the boxes every month, that they're coming to me because they know what a value this is. Like, brands are going to Oprah all the time, like, pick me. I want to be your part of your
Interesting.
favorite things. And I really want brands to be like, I want to be part of the Love Me Gluten-Free favorite things. Like I know that this is a cherished opportunity. And so I'm currently looking for ways to make this experience even more valuable for them. Like right now we've been um, helping create content. Like we'll create like one piece of UGC content for any brand that's in the box, just to help make sure that people like who didn't necessarily get the box are seeing it too. And then also people who got the box, we want to inspire them to use the products. Like we had these really beautiful soft cookies from this company called Jack's Allergen Bakery, and they were really delicious and super soft. And I remember when I first tasted, I'm like, this feels like this should be an ice cream sandwich. Like this would be it's not a crunchy cookie that's going to fall apart. Like it feels like a really great ice cream sandwich. So we created a video of me just making an ice cream sandwich with these cookies and just trying to inspire people in the community and like things that they can eat and things that they can do. And so that's kind of what's next, is just continuing to figure out how I can offer more value both to the brands and then also, to keep making these great boxes and make sure it's sustainable for the long haul.
Yeah, that's interesting because you're almost like you're creating a marketplace for people, right? To be able to
Exactly.
discover things. And marketplaces are hard because you're always trying to acquire customers, but also acquire products for that marketplace. So, yeah, you've definitely got this. It sounds like you're going to be adding like a third element to that business of trying to make it more valuable for the brands and discovery. But I do think that, at least as a consumer and as somebody who's, I feel like that's the right way to do it because you're going to be able to add more value for them. And it's not just purely transactional or just, hey, here's the cost or here's what we need for this.
Exactly.
It's actually more of a relationship because your company was built on those relationships with everyone. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah. The brands want to feel the value and the people who get the box want to feel the value. And I like to say we all kind of have skin in the game, like
Mhm.
this ecosystem works when the brand is getting, into the homes of the people that they want to, most have their products. And then the people are getting it, and they're discovering these products. And I am the facilitator of that. And it's like such a beautiful, ecosystem, but we really do have to make sure that everyone feels valued and comforted, and there's a lot of trust from both
Right.
the people getting the box and the brands that I'm going to be a good steward and really help make those connections for them. And we've been really successful. I know we can be even more successful, but like my last couple of boxes, we earned over 500,000 PR impressions on the box and the brands that we featured in the boxes. And so, the brands aren't just saying, okay, wow, I just got in, 1,000 homes or whatever, but they're also saying I got 500,000 impressions.
Interesting.
24 people redeemed the coupon code that we put in the box. Like we're actually starting to think more strategically about things like customer acquisition costs and how targeted and low that we can offer that to people and to brands. And so just I need I need to think more strategically about my business, and that's something that I am working towards. So, and that's why Sub Summit was so amazing, and meeting people like you is so amazing
Right.
too.
Yeah, I've got some stories. Unfortunately, I can't say them on the air because they're not my company stories. But when we go offline, I actually have some ideas that I'm going to share with you from some founders
Amazing.
that I know and how they've kind of gone from where you are to the next stage. But um, yeah, this is really, really cool, Jenny. I just love, for me personally, I just love hearing about companies that are helping solve a real problem. Um, not to hate on all of the protein powder companies that I talk to or work with out there, like because I'm a customer, but I know that celiac disease is a real problem. And being able to like help people and do that is both, sounds like it's both financially rewarding, but also just rewarding, period, for you and for the ecosystem that you're building. So I would love to wrap up with first a thank you for coming on the show, but also any other thoughts, anything that you found the last few years that surprised you or that you thought would be helpful for anybody else on their founder journey that's trying to build something too.
Wow, that's a great question. I think it makes me think of when I think about my biggest challenge in this whole journey is really trying to be gluten free and then, obviously making it a business. But I would tell other people to not waste your pain, to really look at, what you may be going through something hard in your life or figuring something out, whether it's a business challenge or a personal struggle. Like I had a health struggle. And I really think that you can turn those struggles into really interesting businesses and ways to help other people. And that's sort of what I feel like I've been able to do. Like this has been a painful personal health journey for me. I feel like I've turned it into something really beautiful for the world. And so I would tell any founder, look at that pain that you might have and those challenges that you're facing, and how can you make the world a little bit better for the next person.
I love that. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've got a few people I'm going to be sharing your website with when we're done, just in my family that I know are dealing with this, that I think they'll get a kick out of trying that out. If they can get on the list to buy it, of course, I should say. So it's like, and then I'll have the link to the website in the show notes, but it is lovemeglutenfree.com. Jenny, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Awesome. That's it for this week's dose of Subscription Prescription. Stay tuned till next Tuesday, where we'll try again to help you figure out everything related to D2C subscriptions. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe so that you can get notified when new episodes come out each week on Tuesdays.